Oh man, here we go. Nintendo sends Valve DMCA notice to block Steam release of Wii emulator Dolphin. The GameCube and Wii emulator developer says the Steam release is indefinitely postponed. On Friday, the developers behind open source GameCube and Wii emulator Dolphin received a DMCA takedown notice from Nintendo blocking Dolphin's impending release on Steam. The development team launched a Steam page on March 28th and announced it on the Dolphin blog, writing, "We're pleased to finally tell the world of our experiment. This has been the product of many months of work, and we look forward to getting it into users' hands soon." Yeah, we read about this when this was initially announced. The legal notice, reviewed by PC Gamer, is addressed to Valve's legal department and dated May 26th. Quote, because the Dolphin emulator violates Nintendo's intellectual property rights, including but not limited to its rights under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, anti-circumvention and anti-trafficking provisions, we provide this notice to you of your obligation to remove the offering of the Dolphin emulator from the Steam store. Reads the document. Under DMCA, notices like this are sent to service providers, Valve in this case, who then must notify the allegedly infringing party. The Dolphin development team has the option to file a counter notice with Valve if it believes the emulator doesn't violate the DMCA as Nintendo claims, or to comply with the takedown. If the team does file a counterclaim, as explained by Copyright Alliance, Nintendo has about 2 weeks to decide whether to sue. If it doesn't, Dolphin could then potentially be re-added to Steam. The question is whether Nintendo would truly pursue legal action in this case. If it did, what would happen? A ruling in either direction would have far-reaching implications for emulation, as most, if not all, emulators of modern game systems could likely be held in violation of the DMCA's anti-circumvention provisions if Nintendo were to win the case. If a ruling went in Dolphin's favor, it would likewise be a major vindication for the emulation scene. Previous lawsuits to do with emulation filed by Sony against Blinn and Connectics both found that the emulators had not violated copyright with their use of PlayStation BIOS and firmware. Those lawsuits have long been used as a precedent to hold emulation as legal in the US, but it's a complex topic, and Nintendo's case here would likely be argued on different legal grounds. The DMCA letter sent to Valve cites the anti-circumvention language of the DMCA and specifically claims that the Dolphin emulator operates by incorporating these cryptographic keys without Nintendo's authorization and decrypting the ROMs at or immediately before runtime. Thus, use of the Dolphin emulator unlawfully circumvents a technology measure that effectively controls access to a work protected under the Copyright Act. For the time being, Dolphin will remain off Steam. Its GitHub page and website remain unaffected. The emulator developers have received no direct contact from Nintendo or takedown notices targeting the other places where the emulator is hosted. Quote, it is with much disappointment that we have to announce that the Dolphin on Steam release has been indefinitely postponed, the Dolphin development team stated on its blog Friday. We were notified by Valve that Nintendo has issued a DMCA against Dolphin's Steam page and have removed Dolphin from Steam until the matter is settled. We're currently investigating our options. We'll have a more in-depth response in the near future. The author here has asked Valve for comment on the DMCA notice and will update if this story if they receive a reply. Here's the thing that sucks, dude. Nintendo's terrible. Terrible about maintaining their access to historical content for people to access and which is important in this industry. And I'll stand by that. As we've seen recently with Nintendo going and taking down their 3DS eShop and their Wii U eShop, So, I mean, if you know that's not there, then you absolutely know that you can't go get, there's no Wii shop anymore. That went away a long time ago. And as that was a console that was out before the Wii U was even, made. So something like, and I talk about this a lot, and obviously the GameCube, there's been no content for the GameCube from Nintendo's giving people access to that for a very long time. I talk about this a lot. Emulation is not something that should be used to circumvent promoting a healthy industry. It shouldn't be used to circumvent buying modern hardware and modern games. But Nintendo does not do a good job of giving people access to historical hardware or ways to run historical, emulate historical hardware or their historical software. Yeah. And unfortunately, they're also terrible about being okay with letting people access that content through things like emulators. Thank God for there's so many amazing individuals out there in the gaming universe, that just passionate people like us that do gaming God's work by developing these emulators and maintaining catalogs of historical games to give us access to that content, because really that's what this is, right? It's allowing us to continue to play those historical games that Nintendo takes access away from. Nintendo doesn't continue to give us access to that content. How else are we supposed to be able to get it? How else are we supposed to be able to play it? How else are we supposed to preserve video gaming history without the use of emulators? And so Nintendo sucks, and that's why there's a lot of gray area in it. And that's what this is talking about too, right? But that's why Sony has lost, because Sony's been bad about it too. But Nintendo's the absolute worst. Yeah? And where Nintendo gets really bad is every new console that they come out with, they have made a new online platform for it. And then they shut down the old ones, take away everybody's access to all that content, instead of just making a comprehensive online environment where they maintain that content for everybody still playing the previous consoles, older gen consoles or whatever. They don't have to continue to support those consoles per se. Obviously people, are going to expect them to move on, and it's just like Windows operating systems and stuff. For example, Microsoft's not going to just continually support older versions of Windows. Just like we know that like Nintendo's not going to continue to support old hardware, and keep updating it and stuff. But they also shouldn't be taking away access to that content. And that's what they do. They just shut it down, get rid of it, and make it to where you can't access any of it anymore. And again, this is where, thank God for being, there's so many amazing people that are part of the gaming community that do that work to still give us access and everything. But Nintendo sucks. They suck about this kind of stuff, man. It's really, 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 really gross. They don't care about giving people, that historical access to video gaming history. All they care about is making people pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times over for the same content, the same games, stuff like that. Yeah. They care about the scum. Make people pay and pay and pay and pay and take away all the access they need. It's not about giving back to people for being loyal over the years. It's about just sticking it to everybody as much as they